as we go upwards into the atmosphere. So I'm going to try to get here we go with that. It's not showing super strong, but it is definitely evident as it moved over Duncan, just along Highway 81 and just northwest of Velma. No confirmation on if this is on the ground, but there was reports of possibly some low-level rotation as it moved over Duncan for a little bit, but that also was not completely confirmed. So we'll be watching this as it moves closer towards Murray County and northern portions of Carter County. But for the most part, Carter County is in the clear. Tatum's really the only one that really needs to kind of get into those safe spots and make sure you're staying weather aware and up to date with the storms.
Yeah, let's go ahead and zoom on out. I want to show you where this cold front is, kind of the big picture with the setup today, because we have a couple different things that could give us a tornado potential. If we want to go ahead and pause this real quick, Amber, I'll point out a couple of features that I see with this. The front is going to be draped from well north of Ada. See kind of the front line of these storms here. This is where the cold front is going to be. So it's going to be cutting through portions of Garvin County, right through Stevens County, and then kind of back through closer towards Wichita Falls. It is not through Wichita Falls just yet. They were around 81 degrees earlier. And so where we have some of this clearing in Carter and Love counties, that's where we're really heating up. And as this front slowly pushes south and southeast, everything kind of along and ahead that corridor would also have a tornado potential. So we're going to have these embedded supercells along the cold front. And then if you want to zoom on out a little more, Amber, I want to show everyone these isolated cells that are now developing kind of west of the Dallas-Fort Worth metro and also west of some of our Texas counties. So there's Gainesville, there's Sherman, there's Denison. These storms out to the west coming out of Clay County, moving into Montague County. These are going to be isolated, and then those ones even south and southeast of Graham, right along 180, kind of on the western edges of even Jack and Wise counties, that would have a tornado threat too with any of these isolated cells. So there's going to be a couple of different modes that we're watching for today with this storm potential. But right now, the main game is going to be along this cold front. So far, we haven't had a lot of cells popping up ahead of the cold front, partly because the cloud cover today, those from Tishomingo to Durant over to Atoka, pretty cloudy. That's so far kind of stabilizing the atmosphere some. And it's when we're going to get this clearing that we're starting to see. That's kind of the green light to get things going more so closer to the I-35 corridor. And we'll have to watch these cells along 287 there. That'll be kind of around Jolly coming towards Wichita Falls. This storm is also going to be moving to the east and the northeast. So in addition to the tornado potential coming into Carter County, we're also going to have to watch some of these other showers and thunderstorms a little bit farther out to our west right here. But yeah, more of a linear mode with this. This one's still maintaining its supercellular shape. And if we want to zoom on in here, Amber, we can kind of show you where some of that rotation is. Looks like it's tightened up a little bit. Have we had any more information coming in from the National Weather Service on this?
Nothing as far as any confirmation. Sirens are sounding in Duncan, but technically this warning is just towards the east of Duncan, north of Velma. So Velma, you should be okay unless this storm kind of dips a little bit farther south, but we really don't anticipate that to. It's moving more so towards the east, and it's where these reds and the greens, where they're coming together. That's where we're watching. So right now, likely around north of Velma. Let me get my pointer here if I can. There we go. So right here we're seeing some brighter greens, so probably some strong winds with this possible area of rotation. Again, that is continuing to push east. Foster, Elmore City, Katy, Oklahoma also included. This does include portions of State Highway 7, so if you plan to take that route in the near future, park yourself. We're not really seeing this storm move out of the way, at least for the next 45 minutes or so, as this warning does expire at 3:30. But so far, no confirmation, but there are spotters set up watching from Garvin County, so maybe we'll see if they can give us any information in the near future.
Yeah, and we are going to have eyes out in the field today. Jason will be out chasing for us within the next couple of minutes, covering some of our Texas counties. So as more of those isolated cells keep on popping up for the rest of today, we are going to have some people out there with some video evidence of what's happening real time. As for now, I'm not seeing anything overly concerning with the rotation. It's there, it's broad, but we have not gotten any reports of anything confirmed at this time. But here's the hail tracks, and you can see even going back closer towards Geronimo there in southern Command Comanche County, northern Cotton County, between really just north of Walters and east of Geronimo. Right there, that hail core really spiked up. Then as it moved into Stevens County, it weakened, then started to pulse up again near Duncan, and now we're seeing that hail core somewhat a little more consistent for the last couple of scans coming through Stevens County. So with this track, the hail would be coming between Tatum's and Foster, so that's northern Carter County, and then into Garvin County, Elmore City, and Katy also can expect to see that hail track working its way that way. Can we query the hail size on this? I know the warning is still about ping pong ball size hail, but we want to see real time kind of what some of these hail tracks are indicating.
Yeah, so it looks like it's warned for up to ping pong ball size hail, which is about 1.5 inches. Reporting Walnut, which I know that's kind of iffy and kind of relative, but up to 1.5 inches at least, maybe a little bit smaller in some areas, but where that main core sets up, that's what we're looking at, the likelihood of those larger stones falling. And I mean, we saw this, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, with that hailstorm moving through. So yeah, and today the main threat is going to be hail. So recommending you find some covered parking. Hopefully you've already found it, especially if you're in the Stevens County and even in Carter and Murray counties. But right now, up to walnut-sized hail is being reported with this storm.
And usually when we start to see these hail tracks and the hail sizes really grow, that is a good indication how strong that thunderstorm is. And so right now with the lower hail size, it definitely is packing a punch, but not nearly as bad as it could be so far today, just with the atmospheric parameters that we have available. And Amber's going to kind of slice this storm. You can see how tall it is. Let's zoom on in a little bit more. This is going to be up to at least 40,000 feet in height. And usually once we start to get closer to this range and higher, that's when we know we're getting some really severe thunderstorms. The updrafts have really grown vertically, and when we see these really strong and stretched updrafts into the higher levels of the atmosphere, that shows healthy hail sizes and also a very potent thunderstorm. So something with this that we're going to keep a close eye on near term. You'll probably have to head to a different subset, Amber, to get that back out. Okay. Oh, that's a cool view with the lightning. Yeah, that looks good. You can kind of see that lightning tracking in with that main hail core there. Okay, looks like we may have an update with this tornado warning. Amber, let's go ahead and cover the specs with that.
So this still goes till 3:30. Still no confirmation. It's radar indicated, which is that red and that green. That's what we look for when we're kind of watching for rotation. And again, we're going to be watching that close today with that tornado watch going through 8 o'clock this evening. A possible tornado, the thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located 7 miles north of Velma. It's moving east at 40 miles an hour. So I'm going to put a track on this really quick and time it out for the areas farther east within this warning. But yeah, moving east at about 40 miles an hour. Let me make sure my presets are at the right speed. I think that's a little too fast.
All right, while you work on that today, I know that we're looking at some data earlier today that was indicating these storms, once they start going, could move pretty fast, pretty quick. So some of the storm speeds you see here could be 40, 50, even possibly 60 miles per hour today. And it's going to be very difficult to catch up to some of these thunderstorms. So if you do find yourself out on the road today, that is not where we recommend you be, but I know things happen. And if you do happen to get caught in the storms, please do not try to outrun them with these fast speeds. It's best to pull over, find a gas station or a sturdy structure that does not include an overpass. You want to find a building that you can pull off, safely take shelter inside, and work with what you got, because those vehicles are really not where you want to be on a day like today, especially given the large hail threat. You don't want to mess your windshield up. You don't want to mess anything else up, and you also want to be mindful of other safety as you are potentially stuck somewhere. We do suggest you be home, or if you're at work, instead of maybe leaving when you normally do, if you have storms right over you, wait a little bit, let those storms pass, and then get to wherever you're going. Always want to take the path of least regret on a day like today. Here's that current track: 3:04 p.m. Elmore City, Wynnewood at 3:23 p.m. Oak Grove at 3:43, and Hickory there at 4:02 p.m. And Amber, you said that was a 40-mile-per-hour track?
Yes.
Okay, so these storms are going to continue working their way east. That means I-35 corridor going to be impacted by these. Still not seeing the rotation really ramping on up here. Looks about the same as it has been, but this is hugging that cold front. So we're just going to have to keep kind of watching this near term and see what this does. Again, I-35 is not in that polygon right now, but anyone from Pauls Valley to Davis needs to be keeping a close eye on this. Do you have an update coming in, Amber?
We are getting a report from a spotter that the tornado is on the ground just 7 miles north of Velma. So right where that kind of blob, it's very messy, but if they get that confirmed, about 7 miles, I'm going to get my ruler out so we can kind of draw 7 miles north of Velma. So yeah, right here is where they're saying a tornado is on the ground.
Okay, so getting reports that this is now confirmed, and this would be traveling east. And let's do the ruler tool from that area of rotation, Amber, right to the county border. This is the Garvin County line. This is the Carter County line. Let's do a ruler here tracking just how far away this is from coming into some of our counties, because I know that is going to be imminent short term. Those in Velma likely okay, but please keep a close eye on this because you will have thunderstorms rolling on through, but I would say 3 to 4 miles before it crosses into Garvin County. And this may end up missing some of Carter County, possibly could be skirting the county line right there. There's Tatum's, and then here's 7 that kind of goes from Velma up through Tatum. So we'll also just keep a close eye on any potential additional rotation. The one thing that I am seeing, we are starting to get some of these thunderstorms building in near Elmore City and near Velma and Tatum's. And as these build ahead of this main area of rotation, what storms like is usually they prefer to kind of work alone, not so much in packs, so they can tap into this extra energy out in front of them. But when we start to get more thunderstorms fighting for the same energy source, you don't have nearly as much energy to go around because they're all going to be tapping into the same energy source. And a lot of times when this happens, that could work to start to weaken the thunderstorm. It doesn't always work that way, but usually that does kind of work in the favor. So we'll see if these additional showers out ahead of that main core and main area of rotation may try to work against some of that low level rotation right now, but we are getting reports that this is on the ground at this time and traveling off to the east. It's likely going to be rain wrapped. You're not going to be able to see it on a day like today. We are cloudy. You got a lot of rain. I know it is not anywhere near sunset, so we're not working with any type of nocturnal event, but it's going to be very difficult to see with the hail and the heavy rain. And even if you're south, I feel like those in Carter County may have the best view of this that are even, 50 miles south, just because they don't have any other thunderstorms kind of blocking their view. But it looks like we're really starting to get going today. Now a second severe thunderstorm warning. This includes Carter, Clay, Jefferson, and Love counties. Goes into 345. Amber, what's the hail size with this new warning?
Quarter-sized hail and winds to 60 miles an hour. But again, this is an area, oops, I'm kind of drawing my own box. This is an area that we've been seeing pretty clear, like clearing skies, a lot of sunshine. I mean, Wichita Falls, they were at 82 degrees just a little bit ago. So this has a lot of energy to tap into. You can kind of see that boundary of the cold front running a little bit ahead of that main line of showers.
Right here.
The more this overruns, I think the more it'll work in our favor. But again, right now we are still watching that hail threat with this storm that is moving into Love and southern portions of Carter County. That is moving at, let me check the speed to see if it's moving about the same. These are with that dry line that we were talking about. I don't know if you were watching when we did cut-ins, those storms were near Abilene. Now they're continuing to move closer to our area. This is moving, so this one's moving a lot faster, northeast at 60 miles an hour. So that is definitely going to outrun these storms ahead of it. So we'll watch it close, but it is heading towards I-35 and going into the direction of Ardmore and Marietta, likely going to be moving into Cook County, I would say, within a half hour.
Okay, Amber, do me a favor, zoom on out and then pause radar here because I want to point a few features out. We have that active tornado warning ongoing, but yeah, pause it right here because we've been talking about some terminology. I want to help give you a visual depiction of exactly what we're seeing, what we're looking for. Amber, if you want to draw the cold front along this line, those at home watching, you'll already notice notice how kind of straight some of these storms look. They're riding the cold front. So when we mention we have two different things we're watching for, it's storms along the cold front with an embedded tornado risk, but also a straight line wind risk. But the biggest concern, if you want to just circle that area instead of even drawing the dry line, these storms out south, they're going to be right now west of I-35 and north of I-20, right there where Amber has drawn the circle. Those are going to be storms firing off along the dry line. Those are isolated supercells, and they're going to have a very large hail threat and a tornado threat with them if they can really get organized here. So what is eventually going to happen is at some point, this cold front is going to move south and overtake everything. And I talked about that squeegee effect. You think of those shower squeegees where you're just pulling the water down on the shower door, or maybe something on your windshield as far as trying to clean that goes, that type of squeegee effect. When this cold front comes through, it's going to push everything south of here, clear out the atmosphere. That'll move the severe weather threat away from us. But short term, until we really get everything through, we're expecting both of these modes. And when we get this dry line intersecting with the cold front, as we are really seeing right there with that tornado warning, that is going to maximize the best tornado potential for the next several hours. So even as this shifts further east and southeast, as those two boundaries kind of duke it out, that's where we're going to have the best stretching, the best turning with height with these winds, and that's likely where we're going to see the highest chance for anything tornadic today. Once Jason is out, we'll make sure we get his shot up, but he'll keep a close eye on these cells coming into Cook County and eventually Grayson County today, and we'll also pay close attention to anything even on the western edges of the DFW Metroplex. If those move northeast, they would eventually run into both Cook and Grayson counties, and about 2 weeks ago, we were hit pretty hard in both those counties with that large hail already. So today, we hope is not a repeat, but it's definitely not out of the question. And again, all of our counties going to be included in this severe thunderstorm risk and tornado risk today. All right, let's zoom back into the tornado warning at this time, Amber. Still waiting to see what type of confirmation we have on any other additional reports. Rotation looks messy from this, but I would say it's now going to be into northern Carter County and likely southern Garvin County as far as where we're expecting. Looks like it got a big push there. So possible that this cold front may be starting to undercut this a little bit, starting to see a little bit more of a straight lined kind of signature with this velocity. Oh, there we go. Looks like they did go ahead and trim this back. So the main area of rotation is now going to be in Garvin County. Those in Tatum's under a severe thunderstorm warning. I think this is going to be more straight line winds coming into northern Carter County, but at this time, I would not rule out any type of low level rotation ongoing. But this is going to be getting close to Pauls Valley. If you know anyone on the highway for whatever reason today, if they're between Wynnewood and Pauls Valley right now, they need to go ahead and get off and seek shelter, or just call them and give them a heads up of what's coming, because this storm, if it holds together, eventually would be crossing right over I-35, and those in Tatum's likely getting at least some small hail at this time, but it looks like the main tornado potential has kind of been pulled back from some of those in Carter County. So still for Elmore City, and hail core is still pretty consistent here. That'll be coming close to 74. Any updates with this new kind of trimmed back polygon, Amber?
No updates as far as any confirmation. I know we had word that there was a tornado on the ground 7 miles north of Velma a little bit ago, but since then we haven't had any damage reports or any secondary confirmation. So we'll see if we get any information as far as that is. But Carter County is in the clear from this possible area of rotation. But it is more so along State Highway 74, Elmore City. I'm going to query maybe some of these winds to see what we're getting, but it is pretty messy on velocity here as far as any rotation.
Yeah, this is likely going to be embedded with the cold front now, I'm thinking. And so it's just going to be riding that boundary for as long as it can. Very messy. Somewhere, I still think a little north of Tatum's there's something we need to watch just from what I'm seeing with that velocity. I don't know if shear rate is any better right here, because we're kind of getting to the edge of the Frederick radar, and maybe a little better to pull from the Oklahoma City radar here. For those asking about the Durant radar, it is not operational just yet, so we are not able to tap into that that data for the time being, but still seeing some shear markers coming on through. It's not nearly as bad as it was when this was near Velma. You can see kind of that track. It came from Duncan and then just east of that, and then here was the spot right north of Velma where they got some reports that has since kind of crossed into Garvin County. Some possible signatures there, but right now nothing super consistent. It looks like this storm is likely cycling or really struggling overall kind of to maintain its intensity going forward. If we want to punch up current temperatures, Amber, just to see behind the front versus ahead of the front what we're looking at, this is the big picture. And temperatures are in the 50s right now. In Duncan, we're in the 30s on the Texas Panhandle, so that's the colder air that's going to arrive. They're in the 40s there in Oklahoma City, but Ardmore sitting at almost 75 degrees. And then cold front is now through Wichita Falls. They went from 81 to 60 within the last 30 minutes just with this cold front. So this corridor between Ardmore, Gainesville, Bowie up through Waurika, Ringling, this is the warmest area right now, the best tornado potential short term, and the most energy as far as hail production goes. Once this colder air kind of comes in and moves in, that really is either going to elevate storms or completely cut off any type of one tornado threat, but also any additional severe weather threat today. So it's kind of a waiting game overall through the afternoon, just as far as when this cold front can come on through and get here. And once it's through, that'll be done with the severe weather threat, but I don't anticipate this to be a long day today. I think we're going to be done by about 8, 9 o'clock with just storms in general for everyone. That includes eastern Oklahoma, southeastern Oklahoma, eastern North Texas, and so that is at least some good news if you're worried about going to bed, concerned about thunderstorms. They should be done with by the time you are headed to bed. So seeing some light showers in eastern counties right now. Those storms are not severe. The main show still going to be there in Garvin County. They did trim that warning back from Carter County now, but we are seeing some frequent lightning with these storms coming right into Elmore City. These will also be moving close to Wynnewood and then Pauls Valley if they do extend that warning. But I am seeing some definite signs, at least, of some straight line winds, more so than some turning winds. Amber's going to kind of backtrack through. Right there, this is when that first report with the rotation coming in over Duncan, as she advances this through, you can see it kind of really ramped up. It's still there. It's still there, and then now that it's been moving into Garvin County, it is showing some potential signs of weakening, but the main rotation, I believe, is going to be right here, coming into Foster and Elmore City, and then more of a straight line wind effect, even out near Katy and Tatum's. Okay, so newly issued severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to include Pontotoc County, Murray County, Garvin County, also Carter County. Goes through 4 o'clock today. Amber, what is the information with this one?
So about 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts will be possible and up to half-dollar sized hail, a good sign. Typically when we're watching to see, okay, are they going to extend this warning downstream? Well, it's a good sign that there's a severe thunderstorm warning that seems to have kind of taken the place. So a little bit of an overlap with the tornado warning and the severe thunderstorm warning, but it's kind of a sure sign that they don't expect to extend this tornado warning past Elmore City. So Pauls Valley, other than some very strong straight line winds, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts will still be possible within this orange polygon. That does include Sulphur, Roth, Stratford, Pauls Valley, and still does include Elmore City. They're just kind of more so in that tornado warning. But as we said, you can see it going from a little bit of a tight rotation to more of that straight line near Elmore City. So I think the strongest of the winds moving closer to Wynnewood, but a good sign. In fact, I think they may have canceled that tornado. Yes, no, not yet, not yet.
It looks like it's
Maybe
gone
they
here.
It doesn't look
yeah,
like
I don't
it's in
see
our
it on there.
system, but I don't know.
Did they say in chat? I just want to make sure they for sure said that they've canceled that before we hop off here. But it does look like
okay,
in our
yes,
MAX system, okay, they did cancel that tornado warning. So that's some good news. We still have this severe thunderstorm warning that is going to be including this main hail core really coming in. And yeah, this is definitely taking over to be more of a damaging wind threat right there. We'll need to watch the northern edge of that for any kind of embedded circulation there with like a book-in vortex type of scenario. Let's zoom on out real quick. We'll do another quick overview of what we're seeing with these storms, and then we'll get you back to programming now that that tornado warning has been expired. But several severe thunderstorms now to our west. Those are all isolated. they all will have some tornado potential as they move into the I-35 corridor. But for now, cold front coming in, storms on the dry line also coming in. We'll get you back to programming, but we'll be doing cut-ins as needed. You can also watch us live at 4 o'clock on ABC. We're live again at 5 on our NBC channel, and then again at 6 o'clock on NBC. And of course, we'll also be streaming online as needed.